She was unaware that she had been loving him from a place of fear. There are two ways to love someone. The first way is the way we are told love is supposed to feel: open, warm, like standing in a field with your arms out and the sun on your face and nothing in the world that you need to protect yourself from. Like choosing someone freely every morning because they make your life feel more like itself. The second way is quieter. It does not announce itself. It looks, from the outside, like devotion. It looks like loyalty. It looks like a woman who would do anything for the man she loves. But underneath it, underneath all that reaching and giving and trying and staying there, is something she has never quite allowed herself to name. Fear. Not the fear of him, exactly, not always, but the fear of what happens if she is not enough. The fear of what it means if he leaves. The fear of the silence that will rush in if she stops filling every space with her effort, her warmth, her willingness to bend. She did not know she was loving him from this place. She thought it was just love. She thought that was just what love felt like. There is a woman who has never known a love that felt safe. Not because she has not been loved, but because somewhere in the early chapters of her life, before she had language for any of it, she learned that love was something you had to earn, something you had to maintain, something that could be taken away if you were not careful enough, good enough, quiet enough, needed enough. She learned this not from one moment, but from 100 small ones. From the way approval came and went without warning. From the way she learned to read a room before she entered it, scanning for mood, for tension, for the invisible temperature of the air, so that she could adjust herself accordingly. From the way she learned to make herself useful, agreeable, easy, because those were the versions of herself that kept the peace. She was young when she learned all of this. She carried it forward without knowing she was carrying anything at all. And when she fell in love, when she found him, and her heart opened in the way hearts open when they finally find somewhere to land, she brought all of it with her. All the vigilance, all the shape-shifting, all the quiet, constant monitoring of whether she was still enough. She thought she was just loving him. She did not know she was also, underneath everything, afraid. The fear lived in the small things, in the way she would replay a conversation after it ended, searching for anything she might have said that could have landed wrong. In the way his silence would make her stomach tighten, not because silence is unusual, but because silence had always meant something was coming. In the way she would soften her needs before she voiced them, round off the edges, make them smaller, more palatable, easier to receive, because she had learned, long before him, that needs could be too much. In the way she worked, always, to be the version of herself he would want to keep. Not consciously. She would not have described it that way. She would have said, I just want him to be happy. I just want things to be good between us. I just want to be a good partner. And those things were true. But underneath them was also this: I am afraid of what happens if I am not those things. I am afraid of what I am without him. I am afraid that if I stop being this careful, this available, this willing, I will find out that I was never truly loved at all, only tolerated, only kept for what I could give. That fear had a long history. It was not born with him. He simply became the place where it lived. The cruelest thing about loving from fear is that it looks, from the inside, like love. It feels like love. It has all the texture and weight and urgency of love. You would pass every test. You would do anything. You would rearrange your life, your time, your sense of self, and you would do it willingly, even gratefully, because this is what love asks of you. Except love does not ask this. Fear does. Love, real love, the kind that is rooted in safety and not in survival love, does not require you to disappear into it. Love does not require you to constantly audit yourself for flaws that might make you unlovable. Love does not ask you to be smaller, quieter, less. Love does not make you feel that you are always one wrong move away from losing everything. But she did not know this yet. She had never felt the other kind of love, the kind that holds steady, that does not require maintenance, that does not shift and cool and demand that she earn her place in it over and over again. She had never stood in that field with her arms out and the sun on her face and nothing to protect herself from. She had only ever known love that required her to be careful, and so she was careful, endlessly, exhaustingly careful. If this is sitting somewhere in your body right now, if there is a recognition in you that goes deeper than thought, I want you to stay with this. Subscribe to Mama Amelia if you haven't already. Because this is the kind of story that does not get told often enough. The kind where the wound is not visible. The kind where the woman herself does not know she is wounded. You deserve a space where these things are named. You deserve to feel less alone in them. The moment it began to shift for her was not dramatic. There was no revelation, no single conversation that broke everything open. It was slower than that, and stranger, and more ordinary. She was sitting alone one afternoon. He was not there. It does not matter why. And she noticed something, a feeling she could not immediately name. It took her a long time to find the word for it. Stillness. Not emptiness, not loneliness. Stillness. The particular stillness of a body that is not, for once, bracing for anything. She sat with it. She let it be unfamiliar. She let herself notice that this ease, this quiet, this absence of the low vigilance that lived in her chest when he was around was not something she felt very often. And then the thought came, slowly, like something surfacing from deep water. Why am I so tense when he is here? Not always, not in every moment, but often, often enough. There was a particular kind of alertness she carried in his presence, a readiness, a monitoring of the air between them. She had thought it was care. She had thought it was attentiveness. She had thought it was what love looked like in practice, the constant thoughtfulness of a woman who is paying attention to the person she loves. But sitting in that stillness, she began to wonder, was it care, or was it fear wearing the costume of care? She began, carefully and with great gentleness toward herself, to look at the history of what she had given in this relationship. She saw how much she had adjusted, how many times she had softened a need before voicing it, or not voiced it at all. How many times she had moved toward him when her instinct was to ask for space. How many times she had swallowed a feeling because the timing was not right, or because she was not sure how he would receive it, or because she was afraid there was that word again of what his response might cost her. She saw the weight of all the care she had given, and she saw, for the first time clearly, how little of it had come from a place of fullness. Most of it had come from a place of need. The need to be enough, the need to keep him, the need to not find out what would happen if she stopped. That was not love. That was survival. And she was so tired of surviving the person she was supposed to feel safe with. The question she had to sit with, the one she could not rush or shortcut or reason her way around, was this. What would it feel like to love without fear? What would it feel like to give to someone not because you are afraid of what happens if you don't, but because you genuinely, freely, from a full and unhurried place want to? What would it feel like to have a need and voice it clearly, without rounding off the edges first? to take up space in a relationship without first calculating whether that space will be permitted, to be loved by someone and actually believe it, not monitor it, not test it, not wait for it to be revoked, but simply receive it. She did not know. She had never known. But for the first time, she understood that this was what she was actually hungry for. Not more love, exactly. Different love, safer love. Love that did not require her to be afraid. This is what she learned in the slow and sometimes painful process of understanding herself. Fear-based love does not announce itself. It does not come with a warning. It arrives dressed as devotion, as sacrifice, as the willingness to do anything for the person you love. It is easy to mistake for the real thing because in so many ways it resembles the real thing, but it has a different texture underneath. It is heavier. It requires more. It leaves you tired in a way that genuine love does not, because genuine love replenishes you and fear-based love drains you, because you are always working to earn something that should simply be given. She began to do the work. Not the work of fixing the relationship, not the work of becoming better or more lovable or more deserving. The work of understanding where all of this had begun, of tracing the fear back to its roots, of sitting with the little girl who had learned, in rooms she can barely remember now, that love was conditional and unpredictable and something you had to manage carefully or it would leave. She sat with her. She held her. She told her the things she had needed to hear a long time ago. You do not have to earn this. You do not have to be careful. You are allowed to need things. You are allowed to take up space. You are not too much. You have never been too much. She said these things to herself the way you say them to someone you love, quietly, repeatedly, on the days when they were hard to believe as much as the days when they were easy. She said them until something in her began, slowly, to loosen. I want to speak now to the woman who recognizes herself in this story. The woman who loves hard and gives freely, and is always the one who is trying. The woman who has never quite been able to relax inside a relationship because relaxing feels like risk. The woman who has spent so long monitoring the temperature of someone else's feelings that she has lost track of her own. I want you to hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. The way you love is not a flaw. It is a response, a learned, intelligent, adaptive response to an environment that taught you that love required effort and vigilance and careful management. You were not wrong to learn it. It kept you safe once. It helped you navigate something that was genuinely difficult. But you are allowed to unlearn it. You are allowed to want love that does not require you to be afraid. You are allowed to ask yourself honestly, without judgment, whether the love you are currently giving is coming from fullness or from fear. Whether you are staying because you want to stay or because you are afraid of what leaving means. Whether you are giving because giving brings you joy or because not giving brings you anxiety. These are not easy questions. They do not have easy answers. But asking them is the beginning of something. The beginning of a love that is rooted in something other than survival. The beginning of a version of yourself who is not always bracing. The beginning, maybe, of that field with your arms out and the sun on your face. She was unaware that she had been loving him from a place of fear. She is aware now. And that awareness, quiet, difficult, unglamorous, is one of the most loving things she has ever done for herself. Because she deserves to love freely. She deserves to give from fullness. She deserves to be in a love where she does not have to be afraid. And now that she knows what she has been carrying, now that she can see it and name it and hold it with compassion instead of shame, she can begin, at last, to set it down. Not all at once. not without grief, but with the quiet, steady knowledge that she is not broken. She was just loving the only way she had ever been taught, and she is learning, now, a different way. One that begins not with him, but with her, with the decision to stop earning love and start receiving it, with the decision to stop managing love and start trusting it, with the decision made softly, made daily, made again and again, until it becomes the ground beneath her feet that she is worthy of a love she does not have to be afraid of. That woman exists. That love exists. And she is finding her way to both.